All right. Yeah, so I guess I should start. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure out the Google Plus Hangout system with YouTube to make sure it streams over and that people can ask me questions. The Q&A app should be started now. It says one viewer, but that can't be correct because I've got three questions from three different people. So sorry about that. I was trying to start at 8, but been trying to figure it out for the last 20 minutes. Not sure how many people are actually here, but I'm sure there'll be more to join. If you're watching this on YouTube, I don't know if it's broadcasting there. It should be, but if you are, you can ask me questions through Google Plus through the Q&A, basically. So I do see some coming through now, so that's good. So I'll be able to actually go through and answer them. So the first one was from Emily Big Lane, and she asks, who do you think will be the first to die in season 5? Really, really good question. I should probably do like an updated death predictions video, just kind of focusing on that. But right now, I think we're looking at probably between Rosita, possibly Glenn, but you know the rumors. I'm not sure about that. Carol and Beth, I would say, is probably the most likely. Well, if you're talking first to die, it'll probably be somebody at Terminus. It'll probably be like a Terminus member or somebody there that's captured that they're sacrificing right up to Rick's group at the beginning to get our attention, something like that. So good, I can see the questions coming through now. So there's my answer for that one. Johnny Bravo says third, bitches. Good for him. I used to like that show, Johnny Bravo. That was a funny cartoon. I used to love that one. Really funny. Serious look, something's going on. Yeah, the stupid thing's not working. X-Pro Gamer says, hey, Trev. Jeremy Dyer says, this on? It is now 90 on YouTube stream. Okay, thanks for letting me know because I didn't know if anyone could see me or not. Watch Trev Fights Technology. Yeah, bachelor's degree computer science doesn't help me there, right? Even I, even though I fixed, tens of thousands of computers, I have trouble too sometimes. It's true, especially with new stuff like this. The problem with me is I have a bunch of different accounts, so I'm not sure, I wasn't sure if it was streaming properly up until this point. So I will answer a lot of your guys' questions. We'll go through them for about an hour till about 9:20 Eastern Standard Time, let's say. But right off the bat, just for some channel updates, no throwback review tonight. I decided I'd do the live stream instead because, we can do throwback reviews at any point in time, but right now, we just got the trailer for season 5 for The Walking Dead, of course, so that's big, so I wanted to talk a lot about that. And then in addition to that, also, I can do them on Wednesdays because I'm off Sunday, Wednesday, so I can do a throwback review this Wednesday for The Walking Dead instead. And also there is some other stuff I got to do videos on. There's a lot of Comic-Con stuff coming out. There's a trailer for Air, teaser trailer for Air, which is also from Robert Kirkman, and also features Norman Reedus, which is really weird to see. No zombies, but it's a new series, so check it out on YouTube if you guys haven't seen it yet. The teaser's posted, and I'll have to do a review for that pretty soon as well, Air. So got a couple of videos lined up for you guys for the next couple of days. Of course, the live stream now. Tomorrow will be my thoughts on Gareth joining Rick's group, because I think that's an interesting topic. I think that's one we can talk about quite a bit, and the whole video should be done just for that one, because that's quite the twist to go from where Garrett's at right now, where he's been at, to he's actually going to join Rick's group or have Rick's group join him in the journey to Washington. So how I feel about that. And then on Tuesday I'll be doing a video. It's already done. It'll be scheduled for posted then. About Beth. So what I think is going to happen with her, is she going to die at this point? Is she going to survive? My thoughts on her location and what we've seen from the trailer more in detail. So that video will be up on Tuesday. Then we'll do throwback review on Wednesday, possibly with some others, depending on how many I can get done in the meantime. So really, really cool. All right, good. So the questions are coming through now. If I don't get to your question, sorry, it only shows me 5 at once. So I'd like to see the earliest ones first. But the thing, as I get more, it pushes the rest down, and I can't load it in time. So let's see. All right, this question is, will you and have you seen The 100? I looked at a trailer for that. I was going to check it out. Was going to do a review, at least for the premiere, but I think the first season's over, isn't it? The 100? It's a TV series for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about. And basically, I think it's a After Earth type of, story, that type of thing. So it does look pretty good. I might check it out if I get time, maybe in a couple weeks or so. But right now I've been watching The Strain and Under the Dome, and then of course doing the videos for The Walking Dead and all the stuff coming out for that. So that pretty much takes up most of my time. So I might check out the 100, but probably not, to tell you the truth. Let's see. Will you ever do a fan meetup from Toei Omen? I'd like to do that maybe at like a Comic-Con one time, just hang out with everybody. I think that would be cool. Maybe like if I ever get to San Diego, but because I live in Canada, I have to fly, and most of you guys are from the US, or a lot of people from other countries, like around the world. Like there's probably more people from just around the world, just who knows where, like New Zealand, the UK, even Brazil, Japan. I've got a few, for Dragon Ball Z and stuff. It's funny, the different videos I do, and I get to check the countries to see who's watching it. Japanese people aren't huge Walking Dead fans, just so you know. Asians don't like The Walking Dead that much. But definitely manga and Dragon Ball videos gets a lot of attention from those countries. So all over the globe. So a meetup, I might do it in the U.S. at some time at a Comic-Con. I think that'd be cool. I think that was from Toyman. Next one's from Jackson, and he's got a Krillin. See, what did I say? Krillin. I got Krillin. Krillin. I'm gonna do a Dragon Ball Z collection update soon too, because I got some Figuarts figures. I'm buying these now. These are highly addictive and insanely cool. So I should do some reviews, or at least show off what I have in a collection video, give my thoughts on each one quickly. And have I lost your question? No, I haven't. Okay. Did you notice how in the trailer there is a quick scene of a guy about to swing a baseball bat at Glenn? Yeah, I talked about that in my review if you missed it. In the live reaction, I didn't touch on it too much, but he does look a lot like Negan, but I think we can conclude that Glenn's not going to get his brain smashed out at that time because he's in scenes later on. So I would doubt it if that actually happened. I don't think that's going to happen. But thanks for your question, man. Okay, let's see who we got next. Walker fan says, "What do you think about Bob in the trailer?" Bob's an interesting character, man. I think that it's really cool what they're doing with him, because in the comic books, Bob Stuckey, or the character of the same name, doesn't have much in terms of similarities with the TV series version. Doesn't even look anything like him. He's Caucasian, for starters. So just saying. Bob in the TV series, I think, is a really, really cool character. So I'm excited to see what they do with him. I'm excited to see where they go with him. There's a character in the Walking Dead comic book series called Heath, and I almost think that Bob is like him. I almost think he's like a replacement for him, a new version of him. I hope he survives for a long time. Sasha, on the other hand, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of her, but him, I think he's awesome, and I really like to see the more lines he gets, the better. Because T-Dog was there for like what, almost like over 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons almost, and he never got almost any lines. Like, he got hardly anything. So I do like to see Bob, while Rick is kind of freaking out, Bob is the one to step up and try to negotiate. So I think that's cool, really cool. Charlie Felton says, what does he say? I jumped again. Darn it. Okay, which Walking Dead character are you most like? Oh, that's a good question. Which Walking Dead character am I most like? Maybe Shane, to tell you the truth, because I'm kind of hot-headed too. You wouldn't know that, but that's my girlfriend. Probably Shane. Yeah, I most like Shane, probably. Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I'd say I'm a bit like Eugene in terms of thinking and strategy and logic, but he's not very good at killing walkers, and I think I'd be pretty good at smashing some zombies. So probably Shane, although I wouldn't shoot down zombies. I'd be using hand-to-hand weapons with most of them, I would think. So yeah, probably most like Shane, to tell you the truth. Or maybe Rick. I don't know. A little bit, I guess. Okay, let's see. Jonathan Brusky says, what is your favorite DBZ video game? Well, that's a tough one, because with video games, I played a few of them. Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is probably my favorite DBZ video game ever made. I think it's probably all around the best, even though the graphics aren't as good as the newer games. I haven't played the most recent one, even though I looked at it and I was going to buy it. I was pretty excited for it, but I just got too busy and I didn't get a chance to check it out. But the one where you can, the most recent one, I forget exactly what it's called, but you can play, big team battles, that kind of thing. I think that's pretty cool. I have Raging Blast 2 for PS3, but it's not the best. Some of the challenges are like impossible to beat. So I hate that. If you ever have a game where you're trying to play through it, and there's just some that you'd have to play for 5 hours to just get one step ahead, I hate that, man. Like, you'd have to try it over and over and over and over again just so that the perfect situation comes about that you can pass the challenge. I don't like that at all. That irks me. So probably Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Let's see, who's next? All right. I probably won't be able to get to everybody, but I'll answer as many questions as I can. I'll pick one from each person and go forward. Anthony Exureb says, "Hey Trev, as you know, in both Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, there exists some ruthless, brutal people in each series, such as the Governor, Joffrey, Gareth, and some others. In which show do you think has the most brutal and ruthless people based on their character?" Okay, good question. So, based on the character, who's the most ruthless, the most brutal? Oh man, that's a tough one. Probably Ramsay, actually, from Game of Thrones. I think Gareth is pretty brutal too, because Gareth will eat you. That's the thing about Gareth, man. He's not that intimidating to look at physically. Andrew J. West, he's not beefy or bulky or anything, or scary in terms of his physical prowess. But he's the kind of guy that he's like a mastermind, so he'll try to trap you, lure you in, mess with you, and then with numbers and firearms and in terms of strategic advantage, lock you in, get you ready, and then eat you. I don't think there's a lot of characters that'd be worse than that, except actually maybe there would be, because Ramsay will torture. If he really hates you, Ramsay from Game of Thrones, he will not let you die. And there is torture is worse than death. It is. When you look into it, long-term slow torture is a worse life than just dying. People that are tortured long enough, they would pray to be killed and eaten at the end. So even though Gareth versus Ramsay for the most cruel or brutal, Ramsay would win due to his love for flaying, his love for torture, basically. It doesn't get any worse than that. A guy that'll do that and enjoys it, is happy about it, messes with you, and just breaks your spirit, makes you work for him, and then if you get out of line, will torture you more. So it doesn't get any worse than that. So good question, though, man. I like that a lot. Thanks. Have I ever played Grand Theft Auto? And who asked that one? Emily Fraser. Grand Theft Auto 5. I know there's a character in Grand Theft Auto 5 named Trevor. My friend told me that. But I haven't ever played that one, but I played the previous Grand Theft Autos, and I do like them quite a bit. Ryan Leonaris Sick says, "Have you seen Prison Break? The first season is great, and the actor who plays Laurie's in it." I know that. I know she's in it, and he says she's a much better character. That's cool, and I should look back one time if I get some time, to go back and watch the first season of Prison Break. I never seen it at all, not at all. So I think that'd be cool to see her in a good role. So yeah, that'd be cool. Quentin Wilson says, "Will you ever consider doing YouTube full time?" I've considered it, but I've decided that I'm really happy with my work, and the only thing is like I keep talking about time with how limited my time is, but I've thought about it, but I'm really happy right now, so I don't want to I don't want to mess with anything. So why mess with a good thing? I'm the type of person, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Don't fix it. So even though YouTube's been going great and everything like that, I'm really happy with my work, my job, and I'm going to stay for a while. But maybe in the future, I don't know, maybe 5, 10, 15 years. Thing is, The Walking Dead might not be on forever, right? So if I was to do YouTube full time, I left my job, and I just did YouTube all the time, would my results on YouTube increase? Yeah, probably about like 5 times or 3 or 4 times, because I'd be working on 50 hours a week, putting out like 4 or 5 videos a day, let's say 7 days a week, because I'm a really hard worker. That's the way I work. But the thing is, The Walking Dead could get canceled anytime. Would you want to bank your livelihood that a TV series won't get canceled? Because I do a lot of other, stuff, and it just does not do what The Walking Dead does. So I'm not a big fan of taking risks like that. So I enjoy watching what I watch, doing videos for what I can, and then working at my job as well too. That way I don't have to take any risks. I don't really want to do that. I'm not a big risk taker. I don't gamble. I don't do stuff like that. Somebody asked me if I've seen the Superman Batman teaser. Not yet. I should review it. That's Ali Smith. I should review it if there's one out on YouTube. I've just been so busy with making videos. I know there's stuff with Comic-Con coming out and all that, and I should review the trailer for that, Air, and others as well too. I'll get around to it. You know, there's lots of stuff to do right now in terms of videos. As much time as I have, I'll pretty much put in, and you know, still have some kind of life too. Maybe relax a couple hours a day, hang out with Jess for an hour or two a day, that type of thing. I try to balance it out. You know, I can only do so much. So yeah, but I'll get to it. The Gaming Lad 101 says, if you had the chance to be on Talking Dead, would you do it? Yeah, definitely I would, but first of all, it'll never happen. I'm pretty much guaranteed that. Second of all, I have a very strict work schedule, and I can't just get out of work. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very important, and I'd have to book off time way in advance. So the likelihood of that working for me is very unlikely. I'd have to fly there and everything. It just probably wouldn't work. But good question, though. Who should play Douglas? I did a video on it. Just watch the video. Bryan Cranston would be my best choice, but they won't get him. He's too big. He costs too much money. Marvel or DC? Patty Dooley says. I have that video on the channel as well, too. I've done a video on that, Marvel or DC, which I like better, that kind of thing. For me, I flip-flop. I go back and forth. For example, when The Walking Dead's on, Image is my favorite more than either one, you know, because that's where The Walking Dead came from. And I love the series so much that, you know, I'm more interested in that series than everything Marvel or DC has to offer, which is, it's weird. That's just me, though. Most people are not like that if they like comic books. But between the two, I go back and forth depending on what's going on. Marvel's been really hot the last couple of years, but with The Dark Knight, before that trilogy and everything in theaters, and I'm a huge Batman fan. I was with you know, I flip-flop back and forth. I was more into DC at that time, and then Marvel, and then back and forth. So, you know, it depends. I don't get a lot of time to read comic books either. So, yeah, these days, even though I love them. So, yeah. Let's see. Next question. Somebody sent me a link. Nuki, sorry, man, I can't check that right now because I'm trying to do this. Faraz Tahir says, did you hear about the new DBZ game? Yeah, I did, and I've seen the, I think it's like, you know, teasers for it. The graphics look amazing, but the big thing with me is am I going to buy a PS4 just for that game? Because I don't really play console games too much. So would I buy a PS4 just to play that? That's a lot of money. That would be like $500 or $600, I would think, to buy the new console just for that game. So probably not. Even though I'd love to, it'd be a lot of money. If you ask me 2 questions, I may skip them. Not to be rude, but I just kind of want to mix it around, you know, and try to get everybody at least get 1 question in. Joel Wolf says, Trev, I think there's a bit of misdirection as far as Gareth goes. I think Rick was talking about Gabriel, not Gareth. I think Gareth was just trying to fool Rick. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're talking about who he trusts. I actually mentioned this in the video I did that's scheduled for Monday, I think, in the Gareth video, that I do agree with you. I think that Rick is talking to Carl about Gabriel and not trusting him, not about not trusting Gareth. It's just the way the trailer's shot that I reviewed it in such a way, but you know, it doesn't make it like what they're saying in the trailer doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it. Why would you trust a cannibal anyway? The guy's a nutcase, you know. You wouldn't trust him to begin with. It goes without saying. You know, it's like calling a fat person fat. It just, you don't have to say it, you know, or a mentally challenged person, whatever you want to call them. People don't usually point out obvious things like that, you know. They don't do that usually. On the nose. It's called on the nose in terms of writing. Okay, Glenn Williams says, hi Trev, could you talk about the lethal bacteria of the zombie bite and scratch? Well, I've kind of talked about that before. Some people bring up that it doesn't make sense, but I think saliva, you know, I haven't seen someone get scratched in turn. I don't think so. At least I can't recall us seeing a scratch. There's always bites. So something transferring through the saliva, I think rabies does, doesn't it? I think rabies transfers through it. So, you know, there are some different illnesses out there. I have a bachelor's of science, but not biology or chemistry, computer science. So, you know, I'm not too much into that. You could kind of look that up yourself online. I'm not the expert in terms of, you know, that kind of science. So you can look that up if you want to know my thoughts. I think it makes sense. You know, I've accepted it a while ago by now that if you get bitten by a zombie, you turn into a zombie. Same as a vampire, you know, that kind of thing, illness. I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything that doesn't make sense about it. Okay. Favorite villain from The Walking Dead? Well, it depends. It depends if you count Shane as a villain or not, or if you just look at like the governor and Gareth at this point. Because who else? Well, Joe would be in there too, and then you'd have would Randall count? Not really. Maybe Dave and Tony if you want to count them. I would probably say my favorite villain overall would be the governor or Shane. Gareth, I don't like at all. Well, he's interesting to see in terms of he makes like he's really scary in terms of how scary he is and everything, and that's a good thing. But he's not a villain that you would personally like. My favorite villain in terms of the character I like the most would have to be Shane, but he's not really a villain. It's more of like the group having a power struggle in and amongst itself. So he's a villain from Rick, but if you're on Shane, if you like Shane and you agree with what his decisions are, then he's not really a villain. So it depends on your perception. But the governor or Shane, depending on how you're phrasing that question. Let's see. Do I live in Canada or America? I live in Canada. Yeah, as I said that. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Wow, so many questions. I'm just flipping through them, guys. So bear with me. PS3 username. I haven't turned my PS3 on for literally like 8 months, so I don't even know, man. I don't even. It's collecting dust right now. That's like I said, consoles. I just don't. Yeah, I don't really play them. So yeah. Um, hmm. Have you thought about doing more game or movie reviews than you are now by Slade1RA? Well, I could, but basically for me, I'm good for about 10 videos a week. Any more than that, and it's too much, and I either don't get any exercise at all, I don't do things around the house I have to do, like cut the grass or stuff like that. I don't get to work out at all. So if I do more than that, that's like overkill. And stuff that takes up a lot more time, like watching movies, like doing a movie review. I have to watch the movie for the 2 hours it is or whatever the length of the movie is, and then do the review. Whereas a lot of times with Walking Dead videos and stuff like that, to do my 10 videos a week that I usually try to do, because it's like a goal for me to try to always do 10. It's what I've done for the last 3 years. Basically, it's a lot easier for me to do a video like that than it is to review a movie where I got to sit there and watch the whole movie. A lot of movies I watch anyway because I enjoy it, like Dawn of Planet of the Apes. I just finished watching the other day. Great movie, loved it a lot, but it's been out for a couple months now, so if I review it now, almost no one's going to watch it. You have to review it. If you're going to do a channel, I'll let you guys know this if any of you want to start a channel. If you want to start a channel, what you have to do is, as soon as a movie or whatever you're reviewing hits, you have to get your video done as soon as possible. If you wait a month, a month after it's been released, everybody else on YouTube will have done their reviews. Your video will not even like place on the engine. You'll get nothing. You'll get no views at all, basically. So it's kind of like the sooner you can hit, the better in terms of doing reviews and stuff like that. 21 Melpomene says, if they killed Big Jim, would you stop watching Under the Dome? I'm already considering stopping to watch Under the Dome, or at least not reviewing it. I'm considering stopping reviewing it because it just seems like people don't care. Some shows people will watch and it'll get 10 million views in the ratings, whereas some episodes of The Walking Dead only get 5 or 6 million views if you're talking first season. But there's a big difference between the online interest in something. Some people will tune in to NBC and just watch Under the Dome, but they won't look it up on YouTube or look it up on Google for reviews for it. And if I do reviews that only get 1,000 views or 2,000 views, which means basically nobody's watching them, then that tells me that it's really not worth my time. Like, what's the point in doing the review? I could watch the show, but if no one wants to see the review, because really I don't do reviews for myself. I mean, I enjoy doing them, but I do them mostly for you guys online. And if it's not going to get any views at all, no one's going to watch it, that tells me nobody cares and I shouldn't really do it, right? I think that makes sense. So, yeah. Question from Robert Hughes. He says, who do you think will replace Dale as the Hunters, Gareth, and the Termites' main victim? I don't know if they'll go the same route with that. It could be somebody like Rosita or something like that based on Abraham's reaction, but he could just be reacting that way due to something that's happening at that time. Maybe finding out something about Eugene and their mission or something like that. could cause same kind of effect. So I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say if they're even going to have a person in particular, because they've basically caught them all at this point. So from what we've seen so far, I don't really see anybody unless it's somebody afterwards that we haven't seen, like Glenn or something like that. That's possible. Nick Patton says, what makes you think that the termites are the hunters? Well, I mean, mainly with that one, you see the bones at the end. You know what they're doing. You can tell that they're luring people in. They're going to all this trouble, and then they've got the bins put out in front of them. They're going to bash their heads in. You see the chainsaw on the table. What we've seen from season 4, I think it's safe to conclude at this point, they're the hunters. Terminus itself is a trap set by the hunters. Fear the hunters is right, other side. It's mirrored right here. Come on, video, come on. It's right there, okay? Yellow at the end, Fear the hunters. There's Andrea on the cover. She's being stalked in the background by members of the hunters. So that's who they are. If anybody tells you they're not at this point, they're wrong, basically. You can conclude that based on everything we've seen so far, and if the show was to go a different direction, like, oh, we're not going to eat you, we're just going to, I don't know, sacrifice you or something. I mean, it's possible, but the likelihood of that's almost non-existent. They're the hunters. It's who they are. So, yeah, at this point, it's easy to say. Derek says, you're the best, Trev. Thanks, man. No, you're the best. Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, says Nick Patton with a question mark. Come on, man. Well, I did a whole video on it. Here's my answer. When The Walking Dead's on, The Walking Dead. When Game of Thrones is on, The Walking Dead. There you go. No. Sometimes when Game of Thrones is good, I question that. Like, is this my favorite show, or is The Walking Dead still my favorite series? Up until this point, The Walking Dead's my favorite, right? But Game of Thrones has gotten closer. To me, I actually like Game of Thrones more. Breaking Bad's been over for a while, but Breaking Bad was my second favorite before. Now I feel like Game of Thrones is inched a little bit more, even though Breaking Bad's ending was goddamn perfect, man. I feel like Game of Thrones is kind of, to me, after season 4, has improved a lot. It's gotten even better, and over the long term, I think it's going to be a better overall series than Breaking Bad was. But The Walking Dead is my favorite, man. It's special to me. It's my favorite. It's like a hobby in and of itself. Like I said, if I had to choose between Marvel, DC, or Image has The Walking Dead, I'll go with Image, just like that. Even though how much I love DC and Marvel, because that's how much I love The Walking Dead. It's amazing. So Kirkman's the man for sure. People Dove says, what's your job? I've talked about it lots of times. I don't talk specifics about my job. I'm a senior computer technician. That's all I'll tell you. That's it. Aside from that, I won't say anything further about it. So, and I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, A+ certified, Network Plus certified, Cisco certified network associate. So there you go. I also went to college for computer networking too. So I have some hands-on education with that too, 3-year diploma as well. So I went to school for a while. Yeah, it was good. But YouTube is much more fun than studying. So yeah. Okay, Zombie 3 2000 says, do you think that when Rick turns around in the season 5 trailer and there's going to be something big, or is it just going to be trying to take aim at Gareth? Also, as you play PC, what games? Zombie 3 2000 says. So he's talking about the scene where he mows down the guys with the assault rifle. He turns around to the camera and looks all all Rick-like, like all badass, Andrew Lincoln, right? I think at that point in time, I don't think Gareth is standing right there. I think Gareth is in some other location or something, maybe on the way, or who knows what the case may be. But I think that at that time, it's a good time for Rick to strike. I don't think Gareth would be right behind him at that time, based on that scene. And what PC games do I play? Mostly Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3 is like my favorite game of all time. It's really a lot of strategy. You control a hero, and it's a game I played since it first came out on the first day it was released, and I still love it till today. I played StarCraft 2, not a big fan. It's pretty good, but there's no heroes or anything like that, so you can't get experience, you can't level up. So I don't know, it's okay. In terms of first-person shooters, I played a lot of Battlefield, a lot of Call of Duty, stuff like that. But nowadays, only Warcraft 3 and the channel and my work. That's it. Okay, Lewis Morris says, do you think the group will ever get to Fort Benning? I don't think they're ever going to go there. No, I mean, We know at this point that Fort Benning is a lost cause. We know that they were not able to make it there. And I believe Dave and Tony told Rick that it was overrun. Pretty sure, but I'd have to watch it again. It's been a while since I've seen that. I think so, though. Callieback00 says, do you think Michonne and Tyrese... Oh, it jumped. Darn it. Oh, there we go. Do you think Michonne and Tyrese are going to hook up together? No, I don't think so. No, I don't. I'd see Rick more likely than the two of them at this point, unless they go that direction in season 5. But nothing has led up to that. It seems to me at this point they don't really like each other that much from what we can see. Are you excited for the new Resident Evil movie coming out next year? No. Resident Evil is so ridiculous and just silly and just crazy. I can't say I'm excited for it. It's just nuts, man, Resident Evil. It's just, I don't know. I watch them. Like, a lot of times I'll go to the theaters to see them, but they're so unrealistic and just nuts. So I'm not looking forward to it. I'll probably see it anyway because it is fun, but they need to stop making those anyway, at least for a while, or reboot them or something. Bob Diggy says, Trev, what do you think the governor would be like in Under the Dome? He'd be a monster. He'd be like Big Jim, I think, actually. But who would he kill? Anybody that messes with him. So he'd be a leader, man. He'd be tough to mess with in Under the Dome. If a Rick was Under the Dome and a governor was, that'd be an interesting show. That'd be a better show than what Under the Dome currently is. There you go. Jordan Munoz says, I think that Gareth and Rick will not join each other and they will break out with the help of Carol, causing the explosion we saw in the trailer. And in Beth will be around the real hunters because we see a chick that bits into someone and she is, I thought she was a zombie. I don't know. I don't know. My interpretation of the trailer, as you know, like I reviewed it, it looks like Gareth is saying in the trailer that they'll go to Washington. So to me, that sounds like if he's going to go to Washington, you know, he's going to take Eugene there. So the groups have to be joined, in my opinion, at least based on what we've seen so far. That's what I would think. What happened to your green screen? Says Brian Perrine. I talked about this in a couple of videos, actually, too. I did. Nothing. It just was too slow. It took too long. And again, like I said, the time thing, right? It took 20 minutes to half an hour to render a video with green screen. A 10-minute video would take 25 minutes to render. So instead of a video taking me half an hour to 45 minutes, it would be over an hour. And I just wasn't able to keep up. I fell behind in terms of like my goals of doing about 10 a week. And I wasn't even close. So 1 week I did like 5 videos, and I was like, oh man, I got to get rid of this damn green screen. It's taken forever because I got too much stuff to do. It's just too slow, so I changed it back. Plus, also, I think people generally, the consensus I've got or the feedback I've got is people like my backdrop because it's really unique and there's really nobody like it. Like my backdrop right now, it shows how much I love The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? Like how many people would have this? Like some people might have the trades. Yeah, that's true. The poster. Yeah, that's true. But like the figures at the top, these are custom. You can't buy these in store. You know, these are like I put these together over a couple of years by buying the heads from an artist on eBay, buying each set of clothes individually, putting them like this Daryl right here. There doesn't exist a Daryl like that in that scale and that detail. So it's pretty damn cool. Same with the Rick. The Shane actually turned out the best of them all. But you know, it's kind of like a unique thing that only I have, which is cool, and I like that because it's a unique background. Whereas anybody can use a green screen, anybody can create a CG background or something and just put it in there. So I think it's something cool. It's practical. It's easy for me to use. I like it, and also it gives me a place to show them off. Otherwise, these guys are in boxes, and they cost too much to be in boxes. You know, over like 100 to 150 for each of these. So it's quite a bit. So yeah, that's the reason why mainly. Mostly time though. If it was quick, I would probably still have the green screen up. Fraser G says, "What do you think of Avatar: Legend of Korra?" Is that what he said? Avatar. I haven't seen it at all. I'd never really liked Avatar, to tell you the truth. I was never a big fan of Avatar. I think I watched it and I was like, this is okay, it's decent, but I was never like huge into it. So yeah, I haven't really stayed up with it past that. T. Gilly says, "What is your favorite Walking Dead story arc thus far in the comics and in the TV show?" I think that's what he said. Okay, well, I'll answer it that way. Thank you, T. Gilly. And he says, who's your favorite comic book character? So my favorite storyline in the Walking Dead comic book series so far, that's a tough one, man. Fear the Hunters is fun, but I would have to say the final prison showdown. It's kind of similar to Too Far Gone, but in the comics, it was even more impactful because at the time when the governor attacks, you get the death of both Lori and the baby at that time, and that was something that I never thought he would do. Period. Like I did not think that's where he was going with the story, and it happened all at once, and it was crazy. That was trade should be right here. This one right here. Yeah. I think it's Made to Suffer. Yeah, so those two right there. Probably my favorite story arc would be the ending of that. It was just crazy, man, really crazy. Favorite character would be Rick from the comic book, no doubt. No doubt Rick, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Whereas the TV series, Daryl's kind of my favorite right now. It could change, though, because at first, Shane was my favorite, right? And then, after that, because he's been gone for a while, Rick would probably be my favorite after that. Maybe the governor I liked a lot, and then Daryl eventually. So it's changed a lot as the TV series has gone through, because the series changes so much. So that's why. Shane says, when do you think Shane Landkamer says, when do you think Rick will be reunited with Judith, as in circumstances and episode number? I think it'll be episode 1 or 2, maybe episode 2, and that should be a great scene. Maybe they put that in the premiere, actually, just to get that, because that's a great scene maybe near the end of the premiere. I think that'd be a great part to end on, Testing Andrew Lincoln's acting skills, man. That guy's a monster. They always are testing him, and that's cool to see. Let's see. Dog Handler Gaming says, Trev, I've noticed that Sam is in the Season 5 trailer at about 22 seconds on the far right. That is why Rick is looking that way. Also, you should do gameplay of The Walking Dead. Is he? I have to check that. I didn't see that at all, man. Sam, isn't that the kid who had the girlfriend and they left and maybe somehow he found his way to Terminus? I don't know. Is that true? I have to look into that. Okay, let's see what else we got. I'll skip forward a bit just because I want to spread it around, but I'm getting a lot of questions. Victor says, Rick from comics or Rick from TV show? So Rick from comics, Rick from TV show. Or opposite. It's flipped. My video's flipped on this for some reason. Usually it's not. Comic books, man. Comic books, yeah. I think the comic book version of Rick, even though Andrew Lincoln's acting is incredible, the comic book version of Rick, to me, is more badass. He's more hardened, and he's more ruthless. The TV series version is more warm. He's more open. He's more kind of caring. At least that's the interpretation I get. So for me, the comic book version of Rick is my favorite out of the two because he's very ruthless. He's very no nonsense and very serious. At least up until lately. After the time skip, he's been like that. So definitely comic book version of Rick for sure. All right. I'm just scrolling through the questions to try to find decent ones here. So, Trev, do you think the hospital Beth is at is connected to Terminus? Maybe the hospital is the group that attacked Terminus, which is why they have never again on the walls. That's a good question. Do I think that they are near Terminus or they're connected to them or there's a connection between the two? Generally, I'd say no, not at all. At least there's nothing that would point us towards that fact at this time. But is it possible? Maybe that would be how they would work Beth back into the other storyline. If she's close in vicinity or something like that, and she gets away from there, maybe runs into the group from there. That's why I think that makes sense. That would be likely because if I'll talk about this in the video on Tuesday mostly, but if they want to keep Beth in the series as a point of view character, I don't know if she's enough to have like her own point of view and then the other group point of view if they have a permanent separation. So she'd have to get connected with the group some way. So that makes sense that they would do something like that. Not because it looks like they would be logically, but because they would want to connect Beth back to the other group. So I think that does make sense, yeah. How do you think Carol, Tyrese, and Judith will meet back up again with the main group, says Lamps number 8. Yeah, probably just run into them because they're near Terminus. The group may try to escape, may try to run away or something like that, and or they could just waltz right into Terminus, really, and that would be more sort of support for why Gareth wouldn't kill Rick, because he's got a baby girl, right? So that's something that might affect the way he views their group as well too. Do I really want to kill these guys because they're protecting the baby? They're really good people, that kind of thing. It could have an effect. So I think end of the first episode, maybe second episode, we'll see that reunite again in and around Terminus, I think. If Lenny James is not available to play Morgan in the future, would you prefer them find a replacement actor or just not feature Morgan at all? Oh, that's a great question from Patty Dooley. I would say probably not at all. I would like for them to wait, even if they have to wait a season or two, or even if we just get to see Morgan briefly. I'm sure sooner or later Lenny James will have time to do it. It's a big show. It's probably the biggest project he's been on, I would think. And I wouldn't really want to see them change or switch actors. He does such a great job. If not him, maybe not at all. So yeah. All right, let's see. What part of Canada are you from? Says Jay Lawrence. I don't tell people where I'm from, man. There's a reason for that. Next one is, do you think Father Gabriel is crying in the trailer because they burned Gareth and his people alive like they did to the Hunters in the comics? Gabriel, no, I think he's crying because he's telling Rick what he's done to lock people out, so that's how he survived, or he's basically explaining how he survived, because that's, in the comics, that's what he does. He's explaining how he survived by locking everyone out, not letting anyone in, even people that needed help. So that's what I think he's doing at that time. Okay, Sam, the guy from season 4, the one Carol and Rick met, is at Terminus. We see him in the trailer for a sec. He is one of the people tied up. Oh, okay. I didn't know he was tied up. Yeah, no, I didn't catch that at all. So thank you for that, because I've seen the trailer, I think, 4 times. And I never caught that. So yeah, I'll definitely look into that. That's cool. Okay, Colin Walls says, do you think... did I already answer that? Yeah, I already answered that. Sorry, guys. It jumps around a lot. Marcel Wadley says, what do you say the overall theme of The Walking Dead is? Great question. What's the overall theme of The Walking Dead? I would say probably, at least for Rick in the comic book series, Rick's theme in the comic book series is basically to have hope, even though like the situation is the worst it could possibly be. So still having hope and still surviving, still going and working towards something in the future, even though the entire human race has been almost obliterated. So I think that's the overall theme of The Walking Dead: survival and hope. At least with Rick, and Herschel has a lot to do with that in the TV series version. But later on, it changes. The show changes so much that in the comic book series, eventually there'll be a time skip, just like the comics. Or the TV series will do it too. And eventually, we'll see a huge group. It might not be Rick though; it might be different, but we'll see a humongous community that has been built back up after surviving all of this hardship throughout it. So it's kind of like that, to me, would be the overall theme, is that survival and striving on and going forward, even though it looks bleak, to me anyway. So not really a good versus evil, that type of thing. It's more like a survival in the most harshest type of world. So that's the way I think of it, because you have the governor, you have Negan, you have that versus, but that's not always a theme. That comes and goes. Like the second half of season 4, there is no villain. It's more just survival. So overall, I would say survival. Let's see who else we got here. The Mutant Moose says, nice name, man. Do you think the writing for season 5 will be better than season 4? I think season 4 was written awkwardly. Do you agree? I don't think it was written awkwardly, but the second half had some parts here and there that I felt like, I think sometimes they struggle with having 16 episodes a season. I do. I think sometimes they have some great things planned out, but then in the mix of certain parts, you get some things that, it seems like they have trouble filling it out, at around that 12, 13, 14 episode range. it's almost like they're running out of ideas, or they're having trouble, keeping it at the same kind of quality at that time. And the same thing happened. Season 3, Season 4, 16 episodes, both had that issue. Season 2 had the issue first half, with those a few slow episodes before the mid-season finale. So do I think the writing will be better in Season 5? I don't know if the writing will be better. I guess, yeah, I would say overall I think it will, because the different locations is going to be interesting. Seeing what happens with Gareth and the Termites will be interesting, and seeing Rick's group go to a new location will be really, really interesting. It'll feel new, and I think the writing has a lot of opportunity to do a lot of things when they're on the road. Almost anything you can imagine, run into different groups, just all kinds of different stuff. Should be fun. So I think it will be, yeah. Okay, looking for another question. Can you do your best Rick impression, please, says Cecil Hill. Well, I got to prep it. I got to practice first. Carl. I gotta practice, and you got to give me something to say. You got to give me like say this. What's like an iconic Rick line? Carl, don't look back. That's a good one. So it'd be like I can't do it right now. I have to get prepped for it. Carl, don't look back. Just keep walking. Something like it depends, because there's different Rick moments. There's that, and then there's later on there's different ones. So it depends. We can all live here together, or something like that. So yeah, I'd have to practice for a while. Let's see who else we got here. So I'm trying to spread it out, trying to get different questions at different times. There's no way I'll get to everybody. There's so many questions. So sorry guys if I miss yours. Okay, Oblivion Music Video says, Trev, have you seen Lord of the Rings? And if so, what do you think of it in general and compared to Game of Thrones? Man, that's a loaded question, bro. I watched The Hobbit the other day with Jess, and she wants to watch Lord of the Rings because she's never seen it. Yeah, she's never seen it. So we're going to watch that probably, within the next week or two. Maybe I could do a review of the Lord of the Rings movies, some throwbacks, because those are huge. People really love those. And even though they're older, they're timeless. So basically, to sum it up, my thoughts on Lord of the Rings, I think Lord of the Rings is incredible. It's one of the best trilogies ever. The Hobbit, I don't know. The Hobbit, the first one I liked. The second one I was like, it's pretty slow paced. It feels like they're just stretching this story so far in The Hobbit. But Lord of the Rings is much better than The Hobbit, I think, even though it's way older, at this point. CG has gotten to such a great point from where Lord of the Rings is at to now, and Lord of the Rings, I think, is better than The Hobbit. So it should be the opposite because it's newer. The Hobbit should be better, but it's not. At least not to me, anyway. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is sick, man. Lord of the Rings to me is like almost at like a Star Wars level. Like in many, many years, people will still like Lord of the Rings. They'll still watch Lord of the Rings. Compared to Game of Thrones is freaking epic, man. It's epic, and it's large in scale, and it's dark, and it's realistic to that world, which Lord of the Rings is not. Like The Hobbit, for example, let me just use, because I watched the second Hobbit the other day. In The Hobbit, you've got all the dwarfs. I forget how many there are, like 11 or 12 or something, maybe more. They're being chased by like 50 orcs, huge orcs, like muscular, like gnarly looking dudes, big teeth and ugly as hell, and some of them are missing eyes and shit, and big axes and all this stuff. These orcs have the jump on them. They have the high ground. They're chasing after them. They can't even kill one dwarf, and there's like 50 orcs. The elves are like Legolas and his girlfriend or whatever. They're like slicing them to bits. They're going through them like there's no tomorrow, no trouble at all. And these orcs cannot kill one goddamn dwarf. I think they may have gotten one with a poison arrow, but aside from that, they've all been killed, and they have not done any damage to anybody. Is that realistic? No. Game of Thrones is like 50 orcs, 2 elves, and dwarfs. Oh yeah. Oh man, those dwarves are so screwed. They're going to be eaten for breakfast, literally, by those orcs. So that's what I love about Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is like, would Tywin smash the Starks? Even if he's an asshole, even if whatever, if he was in this position, he had the mountain, he had all this power, he had all this money, he had all these troops, more troops, he had the better locations with the crown and in the south, and he's on the defensive, and would he win against the Starks? He would, and he does. In Lord of the Rings, it's like no. Apparently in The Hobbit, 50 orcs can't take down 10 unarmed dwarves. They're going to escape in barrels, and they're going to go down a river. That's what's going to happen. In Game of Thrones, it's like, that's not what would happen. So, and then it plays out how it probably would happen. So I love Game of Thrones for that. So which do I like better? Tough question, because Lord of the Rings is epic too. It's got some epic battles and some awesome, huge army stuff that's really sick. I love them both, but if I had to pick one, I guess Game of Thrones at this point. So just because it's so different in that it's totally honest to itself. Like, for example, let's talk about The Walking Dead for a second. Current situation of The Walking Dead. Gareth's got Rick's guys. He's got them. He's got them all. In Game of Thrones, that's game over. It's done. We're done. We're done. Take a shower, go home. We're done. That's it. It's over. Game of Thrones is like, yeah, if that happened, that's it. It's done. Granted, there are some situations like with Tyrion where he requests a trial by combat and he gets lucky and he wins. Second time he loses and he's got his brother who loves him who lets him out. So it kind of, to me, Game of Thrones, even though I'm not saying it's 100% organic and natural to the story, there's nothing in it like what's going on right now with The Walking Dead where Gareth would let the group go, which it looks like is what's going to happen, right? So I love that about Game of Thrones, how they just are like totally honest to what would happen in that situation. I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah, based on the characters, which is really cool to see, even though sometimes it might make you sad because your favorite characters die, but still that's what it is. So that's pretty cool. Great question, man. Thanks for that. All right, next one we got, have I seen Attack on Titan? And that's asked by Hayes Dream. I reviewed the premiere. It's in the channel. If you want to hear my thoughts on Attack on Titan, just watch my review of the premiere. Yes, I've seen it. Yes, I think it's fantastic, but I don't know about long run. Short term, it's excellent. Long run, I don't know. I haven't looked into. I believe I read the manga up to I think it was chapter 20 or 30, and then I stopped. In the long run, I don't know how it would go for a multiple season type series or manga. So I don't know, but I do think it's got great potential and it's off to an amazing start so far. But in terms of a long running show, I don't know, or manga series. Let's see. DJ Schnucktick says, Trev, do you think the trailer has been edited to mislead people to believe Gareth will join Rick's group, just like the season 3 trailer made you think Rick was talking to the governor? That's possible. That is always a real possibility that they're kind of misleading us, and maybe that would be a good thing because seeing Gareth allow the others to go to Washington with them, going together. It's a weird turn. So it's possible that's not where they're going, but it looks like based on the trailer that's what's happening, at least from what I can tell anyway. If you have a different interpretation, that's cool. It's just, to me, it looks like that's what they're doing. So yeah. FC Schaefer says, what's the best comic book movie for Batman? The Dark Knight, I think. Well, I guess I'll kind of try to answer your question. I lost it in the list. It loaded a whole bunch of others. Basically, man, The Dark Knight Returns is the best Batman story, I think. It's the best one there might ever be. It's pretty incredible. If you haven't seen the animated movie for it, I would definitely recommend to check that out. And, yeah, aside from that, I mean, there's lots of great Batman stories. So, yeah. Yeah, so check them out. But definitely check that one out. So, let's see what else we got. And my voice is starting to get raw, so I'll do about another 10 minutes, and then I'll have to wrap it up, guys, because I want to watch tonight. I should do my Sunday review for The Strain, but I don't know if anyone cares about that episode past the or about that show past the premiere. So I'll probably do a review for The Strain pretty soon, maybe tonight or tomorrow. I'll release that for anybody who watches my reviews of The Strain. Great show, but I just don't know if I should be doing weekly reviews for it if enough people care. Lewis Morris says, why don't you talk on Twitter? I've already kind of answered that. Is because I don't have that much time. I'm on YouTube. I'm making videos, right? Or I'm answering comments through there. I'm not usually on Twitter. I use Twitter to kind of, share it out there for people who do use it so they can see what new videos I'm posting, right, if they don't sign into YouTube. But I don't, talk or chat or do anything on Twitter in terms of that. It's mostly through the channel. I'm always working on the channel, always working on videos. that's what got the channel to where it's at right now versus nothing, versus non-existence. So yeah, so I just stick to that strategy. Yeah. Bagor Ray Nissen says, sorry, I probably butchered that. Burgeport, something like, sorry, I can't see the characters, man. Says, how excited are you for the TMNT movie on a scale from 1 to 10? I was, after seeing the, like, at the beginning, I was 10. I was like, I am so excited to see this. But then we started getting info. We started finding out, well, they're aliens. Well, they're not. But Megan Fox is going to be April. This is going to be happening. Then we see the trailer, and the turtles look like Transformers. And then sometimes they don't look like Transformers. And then sometimes they look 12 feet tall, like when Leonardo lands on the roof. And then sometimes they don't. And then the Shredder may be a robot, or he may be a suit, and possibly William Fichtner's not the Shredder. And you know, I don't know. It was one that at first I was like 10. Now I'm like 5 excited for it, because I pretty much already in my mind made up it's probably not going to be that great. I've already kind of in my mind figured that out to me. So yeah. Somebody says, Mickey P023 says, why do you think The Walking Dead keeps getting snubbed at the for the Emmys? Based on the type of show it is, man. That's why. There are certain types of series, like for example, when it comes to award shows, and it's not just the Emmys, it could be Oscars or anything like that, they won't take seriously a comic book type of series. Like the Avengers is not going to do well, you know, at shows like this. You know, Emmys in terms of those, Game of Thrones does well at the Emmys, you know, Breaking Bad has done well, but based on the type of series and how imaginative The Walking Dead is, my opinion is that that's why. Anything that's really imaginative like that, like it's either very sci-fi or very, you know, like zombie or comic booky, usually it's very hard for them to get any kind of awards, be it an Emmy or anything else. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Okay, somebody said, I just lost it. Do you think Christopher Wegstead says, do you think The Walking Dead could continue for 20 seasons since they can make a story about after the apocalypse and always take in new people? You know, it could, man. It could be. Here's the thing with The Walking Dead. Especially, we're going to see this with the spinoff is supposed to start next year. So I hope the spinoff doesn't get canceled, because I haven't heard of any production details yet. But they may have to start producing it after they're done filming The Walking Dead. So Kirkman might be super busy. But basically, I'm thinking that it could go on as long as AMC wants to do it. Because you don't have to have Rick always in there. The spinoff won't have Rick, and it could still be great. The video game series doesn't have Rick or any of the characters, and it's been nominated for awards because it's the formula. You find the formula, and you just stick to it. Basically, exciting character development, survival-type circumstances with zombies. It doesn't have to be zombies. A story like this, with those types of ingredients, could work whether it's zombies, whether it's you know, even vampires, like with Strain, whether it's you know, I don't know, real world with some kind of war or something going on. Any type of series like that that does a few things. Makes you care about the characters, whoever they are. Puts them in dire situations where they may die at any time. And makes us care about them, and does kill a few of them here and there in a survival type horror situation. That formula will work no matter what, because people are always excited and about uncertainty, not knowing, and you know, seeing stories like that, which is similar to Game of Thrones. You know, even though it's in a different world, it's got a lot of the same ingredients. Which, look at how big that show is. Some people don't like The Walking Dead, love Game of Thrones. It's actually on YouTube. Actually, I think Game of Thrones is bigger than The Walking Dead. It's just, for me, The Walking Dead works for me, and when I do videos for Game of Thrones, they hardly do anything, even though I've been reviewing it since the 2nd season, and now we're into season 5, and Game of Thrones will be starting next year. So I don't know, you know, it's a weird thing, but yeah, I think that it could go on for 20 seasons because the formula could work no matter, you know, no matter what your characters, you know, if you're creating good characters with good stories, with evolution and change, people are going to be interested, man. I'm telling you. Even if none of the characters except for like Carl and I don't know, maybe some of the other young ones, Beth, or some of the others are still alive in 20 seasons. Granted, I don't think Beth's going to be alive in 20 seasons. But wait for my video on Tuesday to hear my thoughts on whether or not she'll survive season 5 at least. Do you think the budget is higher this season? Also, Christopher Wegstead. Thanks. Good question, man. Is the budget higher this season for The Walking Dead since there's a lot of explosions and shit in new big town? I think it would have to be, because they're moving a lot. They're going to different locations. They're filming all over the place. They're building the Alexandria Safe Zone. I think that AMC's done a really good job of saying, you know what, we do need to. Maybe Frank Darabont's made his point, even though it didn't work out with him. They learned from what he said. They took his advice eventually, because you can't tell me that the budget for season 2 is being used for season 4. No, man. Or season 3 or season 5. No, come on. The budget for season 2 was like nothing. Like what? A farm, your actors, and what else did we have? Like they didn't have hardly anything. A lot of zombies, but season 4 had probably 10 times as many zombies, more episodes, more actors, more actresses, more people overall, bigger production. So season 3 was bigger too. So it looks to me like they're giving more and more all the time, and I love that because it's, it kind of makes sense from a business perspective. You don't want to, invest all your money right off the bat. As something starts to produce income or it starts to build and become big, then to, invest more makes sense. You see that in a lot of businesses. When they first start out, they're very chintzy, but then once they can see it's lighting up, then they start investing more. You start seeing McDonald's all over the damn place, right? At first, it's slow. Business is usually exponential in a curve. It's not linear. It's exponential in terms of growth. Look at McDonald's, right? Something like that. Anything. When they start slow a lot of times, and then they just go crazy. So it makes sense that AMC would invest more money because they made so much money on it already. Season 4 was probably the biggest money maker they've had. In terms of views, I can tell you it is for sure because I know that offhand. And season 5 will be even bigger, and they'll probably just invest more and more because they want to get it higher and higher and higher, and do the spin-off and sell all kinds of merchandise. They get their money from me, as you can see. They're not losing any money from me, as you can tell. So yeah. Northeast Prepper says, "Will we ever see the prison again?" I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Yeah, I doubt it because they took the set down, didn't they? I think they demolished it, so there's no way now. Not going to happen. Alex says, "Do you like the Telltale games?" Honestly, not really. I mean, like I like the story. I think the story's great, and it's cool in terms of that. I'll put it this way: if I had more time on my hands, I would check them out. But they're very time-consuming, and because of that, I don't like it. If they could make something where I could just sign on and play like a first-person shooter or third-person shooter and have fun in a couple hours and be done, and like have multiplayer, like maybe you could a multiplayer game like 8 characters shooting. You play as Rick, as Shane, as Daryl. The others have their weapons and their attributes. I would like that more than the Telltale game, just because of the amount of time it takes to play it. Even though the story is incredible and it's a very well-made game, I'm not saying it isn't. But do I like to play it personally? Not really. Oh, FC Schaefer, I think I got his question wrong. I think he was asking, what's the best comic book movie after The Dark Knight? Oh man, that's such a loaded question. I've done videos like this in the past before. I think you have to consider Avengers, of course, because of how big that was. Like, if I'm not talking about myself, the Avengers would probably be the biggest one ever. I think it's the biggest one ever. So it would actually be higher than The Dark Knight. But in terms of which ones I like the best or I think are the best made, that relate the best to me and I enjoy watching the most, The Dark Knight, and then maybe X-Men Days of Future Past, that'd be high because I love X-Men Days of Future Past. Watchmen, Avengers, and let's see, there's others too. I'm just not thinking of them at the moment for some reason. Yeah, and then if The Walking Dead ever made a movie, yeah, which we'll probably never see because it probably makes even more money, on AMC with already what it does. Frost here says, Trev, did you drop Naruto? Kinda, yeah. I mean, Naruto. Oh man, I've talked about it in a few videos I've done, but Naruto is just like, when is this stupid battle going to finish? It's been going for like 3 years with this stupid ninja war. And remember how I talked earlier about Game of Thrones and my problem with The Hobbit, where none of the orcs are able to kill the dwarves, even though logically they should be able to? At least kill one. Come on, Naruto has that in spades. That's the biggest problem with Naruto. How are you going to tell me there's this war with these uber-powered characters and there's almost no deaths on Naruto's side? It's so stupid. It's such a waste. Because is he going to end the series without us seeing anything like that? Up until the end in this war, like he's to me, Naruto was like about halfway through around the Pain story arc. I was questioning, is this better than Dragon Ball Z? Is this better than Dragon Ball? It's like right here. And Dragon Ball a little bit, like it's getting close to where Dragon Ball was at to me in terms of which one I like better. And it was like, oh man, it's getting there, it could be there, and then it just stayed, and then just boom, just dropped, because it's like, what's happening? This stupid war. I love war usually, but having like manga for 3-4 years where just nobody's dying, nothing's. It's just I've dropped it. Yeah, I've kind of dropped it. I'll check it out eventually, but I'm not really into it that much right now. I'll tell you that. I hope it ends or it gets wrapped up or something changes soon. It should. Let's see what other questions we got. So I'll probably wrap it up pretty soon. Trev, what do you think are the most well-done deaths for the Walking Dead TV series? And I lost your name. Sorry, man. The best deaths for the TV series? Oh, man, that's hard to say. Probably Herschel's was one of the best. Laurie's was good, too. Shane's was good, even though I would have liked to see Shane do some other things with him. So probably them. Quadric Film says, could you please review Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I have. I've reviewed the first few episodes, but I don't like it. I don't like it. It's to me, honestly, I don't get enough enjoyment out of watching it to tune in. It's just like the characters are so blah to me. It's like even Coulson, I don't even like him. It's like, why do I care? I don't know. I just don't like him, and it's like I don't like any characters in the show really. Sky or the others. It's like a superpower show without superpowers. It's like, what's the point? I want to see the Avengers. I don't want to just see random S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Like, it's just crap, man. Anyway, at least in my opinion. I know a lot of people like it, so I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I don't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. very much. Do you think Morgan will ever come back as a full-time role? Chris Rivers says. At this point, I'm starting to think, no, man. I don't think so. I don't think he ever will. No, I don't think so. Because he's got other stuff going on. I wish he would. I wish they'd bring him in like season 7, 8, or 9 or something as like a full-on character, even if they could do it in season 5. But I don't think he ever will, even though I'd love that for that to happen. It's wishful thinking. Let's see. All right, I'll do like 2 more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Let's see. Well, maybe I'll just wrap it up because I'm not finding any new questions. I'm just finding a lot of repeats. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'll wrap it up. Yeah, I guess I'll wrap it up. One more question is from, actually I lost it. What's your favorite anime? Probably Dragon Ball Z is my favorite anime of all time, I'd say. Yeah. Aside from that, Naruto is up there, but like I said, it's kind of destroyed itself in a lot of ways. I could do a whole video just giving you my thoughts on that for a while, but anyway, yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the hangout. If you did, please write in the comments below. Please let me know. Please sum it up if you did as well. And yeah, like I said, I got those videos coming. Going to review Air. Going to do those. Got the 2 lined up for the next couple days. Probably The Strain, and then of course Comic-Con news. So lots of stuff to do. Lots of stuff to talk about. So we'll be probably doing more videos than usual. Even though this one does take a while, take a lot of energy and stuff to do one of these. So I'll be probably tired tonight. Won't be able to do too many. But anyway. Yeah, so like it if you guys liked it, and if you have any other questions, please write them below. Maybe I can answer others in a Q&A, like an actual just Q&A video where I pick 10 or questions and just do those, rather than just kind of a random live thing. So thanks for sticking with me, guys, all this time. I hope you enjoy the live hangout. If you want to see me do another one, write in the comments below. Maybe when The Walking Dead season 5 hits, maybe I could do, you know, that after I do my review, after the episode airs for the premiere. Maybe I could do a live stream later that night or something. It'd be cool. I think that'd be fun. So let me know what you guys think about all that. Please share it and favorite it if you guys liked it. You want to help support the channel. And yeah, I'll call it here. That's it for this live stream, guys. Hopefully do another one. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. See you for the next one. It's Trev, as always, and I'm saying peace.